And then when you're done, end. Okay. And is this back from? Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Employee Council Wednesday, February 10th at 10:05 to order. First thing we're going to do is roll call. Diana Williams is present. Allison Williams.
Present.
Joe is on his way. Raul. Kevin will be excused. Jay Ritchie and Tim Cox, not sure about yet. Josh White.
Present.
Lorena Valdez. Yvonne Ward is excused. And Eva Millspot. And Joelle Landers.
Present.
The following items will be discussed at this time. Number 1, discussion and follow-up on current personnel rules and regulations and policy amendments discussed in 2018 and 2019. Joelle, I'm going to let you talk about your wonderful binder.
Okay. I have on the top sheet all of the policies employee council between the time of 2018 and 2019. I believe I've sent these out before, but I can send them out again. The discussion really is today, are we wanting to reevaluate those policy amendments and decide whether or not that's still what the intention was of the employee council? And then perhaps decide whether or not we will table those for the future and maybe either start from scratch on our current personnel rules and regulations, or even consider looking at a new format with some just starting from scratch and really revamping the entire personnel rules and regulations, or if we want to continue to work on and go back to the policy amendments from 2019.
Which is binder is Joe's.
Joe's, I think, right here.
Joe, you're right. Oh gosh, sorry. Your binder's right there. So Joelle showed me what, I guess it's cottonwood. Is that the one? Yes. And I really liked their format because it's in 2 parts. First part is just for Joelle and for Joelle to help with the employees. And the second part is the employee manual. That way the employees don't have to have the whole thing. They can have just the part that the employee needs when they get hired. And they don't need to worry about what Joelle is supposed to take care of, which is now we have it all intertwined. So I do like that idea. My thought was we went over the definitions really well, which is on the 2nd page of the binder or 3rd page of the binder. I thought we went over the definitions really well, and I think that I'm comfortable with all the terms. Allison, I know you were not comfortable the last time with the way volunteer was defined. Did you have a chance to look over it again?
I didn't have a chance to look at the cottonwood,
Hold on.
but I think that there were some issues with the previous personnel manager. I don't think it was just the definition of volunteer, but you know, that we encompass what departments have volunteers and that we have something in place, which Joelle has already, you know, really created a seamless process for us, for all our volunteers. Granted, things have been different the past year with the use of volunteers, but I don't have the printout of the cottonwood. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the other thing too is I was going to say, I think that we need to just go over them again because we have new people on the board. And when Joelle showed them to me, some of the changes that we asked to be made were not made. And things that we did not want in there are in there. So I think, and you all can let me know that I think we just start over. And this time, you know, Joelle will help us guide us through. And she knows she's very good at what she does, and she can help us with majority of this. So what do you all think? Oh,
I'm fine.
I'm sorry.
I'm fine with going through them again.
Okay.
That way, what you people and everything, it's clear for everybody, and, we can all do it together.
Allison?
I absolutely agree with you. I think we should just, we worked really hard for a year on that, but the things that we wanted were not in there. I think we should throw out those amendments and start over using this new kind of template and working with Joelle.
Eva, I know you're new, but what are your thoughts?
I'm all for doing everything, because it's all news to me.
Okay. Joe? What do you think?
I'm all for it. We're doing it. It's been so long since we've done it.
Right.
We need to refresh it.
Josh?
Yeah, I wasn't involved at this time, so we come up.
Okay. What do you all think about what, the Cottonwood, how it separates the personnel from the employees? And making that the one whole document? What are your thoughts on that as we go forward? Yes, ma'am.
If I may, I just wanted to mention that has access.
Oh, yes, yes.
Documents. Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. To what directly affects the employee. The second part, which is the personnel operations guide, and that is where it covers more details on recruitment, discipline, benefits, health insurance, and also kind of one of the reasons why I really liked this way is that it separated a lot of the documents that we have been having to provide for all of these grants that we're getting. So instead of sending our entire personnel rules and regulations, we have separate exhibits that we could then send that are more, currently, a lot of those are geared towards the bus. And I think it would be really beneficial to have a general kind of, just so it covers bus, it covers fire, it covers the police and the radios and all of that. So, and that is a big part of that, because I do think that that would benefit moving forward as we have more of those grants. But again, I just wanted to make sure that,
Oh, yes.
that both are accessible to the employee.
Right, but this way we don't have to go through all of what personnel needs to do for us to get to what we need to see. And all of it will be in the same, like it is now, everything's together.
Right.
But it just will be separated out. Personnel will be at the front and employees will be in the back.
I think that makes it a lot easier to navigate and see exactly what we need. I'm just trying the whole thing, scenario where they can focus.
Right.
I can work a lot easier.
Allison, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I do agree with this. I think that that we'll be starting with this kind of format, and it will allow us to make it a lot more easily understood and help Joelle as well.
I think he was probably in agreement because
Yeah.
he doesn't know what we're talking about. Joe?
Nina, do we need to make a motion?
No, we're just discussing it, and then the next
Okay.
time we're gonna come back. Josh? All right. The other thing I wanted to discuss and kind of get a thing is I don't think we need to recreate the wheel. I think there are still parts of ours that we can use. But once you have a time to look at this really closely with the Cottonwood, let's try to compare and start with the first three sections the next time we come back. So let's make sure we go over the definitions, the hiring contingencies, and the hiring policies. And let's see what we like in Cottonwood, what we want to see compared to what we have now. And I think Joelle has policies that we did that had the red lines in it. For those first three, and maybe she could send those out to us so we could see, but you'll notice that on some of them, they're not even they're partially what we discussed, but not all of it. So it'll just, let's come back with
What
one,
policy operations?
oh no, it's the front page.
Oh. I changed that. I changed it.
May I suggest that numbers 1 through 4?
Okay,
Because we have definitions and then the 3 items we recommend. And
absolutely.
that's a better place to break it.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Sorry about that. So she'll send us those first 4 that we had done before to compare with what we want to see now. And the next time we come, we'll make some decisions on what we want to see in there, if everybody's in agreement. Allison, are you in agreement?
I am. Nina, do you want to maybe have a work session that we could dive deep maybe in March and just go through it?
Yes, we can do that.
Great.
All righty. So Joelle, I think you got a direction, and I want to thank you so much for doing the research and getting Cottonwood. I looked at it yesterday and I thought, wow, this is really a neat idea to separate it out like that. And not necessarily that you won't get both. I'm just saying it was a neat idea.
What would be the date in March?
I'm not sure. When we go back, I'll give Joelle several dates and then we can just choose which one will work for it.
Just to let you know, the whole first week of March, I'm doing a refresher CE,
Okay.
the whole week too, that way our paramedics and EMTs can be certified.
Okay, so no, we won't do it the first.
Okay.
Because we'll need to have some time to look this over. I mean, I know today's only the 10th, but you know, I know all of us are busy. So I want to make sure that we have enough time to research. Plus Joelle needs to get us the other 4 things that we had done with Dan. So absolutely. So let's try for maybe the second week, Joelle. And I'll get with you on that. All right. Is everybody in agreement? We move on to item number 2?
Yes.
All right. We kind of already went over this a little bit, but it's discussion of City of Cottonwood format of separate employee manual and personnel operations guide. So we've already went over that in the first item, because I got a little carried away because this idea so much. So I think that if everybody's okay with that, we can start doing that process also. Good with that? Yeah. Okay. Josh? Okay. All right. So, and we already covered item number 3. So we're all good with that. So item number 4. We already did that too. So we are just rocking this. All right. So item number 5, Joelle, discussion and review of Finance Director Carrie Beverly fiscal evaluation site on this. What happens when you have glasses on? It's all up when you have your mask on.
Thank you. So what I have done is I did 2 spreadsheets. Back in March of 2020, it was requested that we have fiscal review. It was Plan 1 and Plan 2. Proposal 1 and Proposal 3. So Carrie has been working on that. It is really complex, given that it will not affect next year's budget the same as it will 2 years in advance. There's a lot of data, and I know Carrie's working very well on this. What I did want to at least bring forward to you today was some of her concerns and what she is noticing. Specifically, in a number of circumstances, a new employee to the city has the potential to overtake someone in the same position that has been here for 4 years, 10 years. One example, so I included 2 examples, one from the finance department with 2 accountants one that has 19 years of longevity versus one that has 1 year of longevity. And that's one of the emails from Carrie. And you can see that if we are to put those numbers out 25 years, that's how Carrie's evaluating them. The new employee has the potential to make almost $8 more in the same position. And so that is one kind of big disparity. And it almost defeats our purpose, which doing this plan was to encourage longevity. So that's one example of that.
Opposite.
She also took one kind of just a general $15 an hour employee. Again, a new employee versus a 4-year employee. And again, putting it out even at 9 years, the new employee is going to be surpassing a 4-year employee, a current employee. What the 4-year employee would be at 15 years. And then the one other example, I hope. Okay, no, I can try not to do these. So I have an employee that is coming up on 20 years of longevity. At 20 years of longevity, they get a 5% with our current longevity plan. With the first plan that Carrie's looking at, he, number one, did that increase until 21 years. So he is now having to wait an extra year. And in this plan, it's 2%. So not only is he having to wait an additional year to get to the next step, he is also not getting the full 5. So it's very interesting. And honestly, what was I going to mention? Oh, when this was also taken care of the Civil Service Commission shortly after, again, the beginning of 2020, so it's been a while. And one of the things at the time, Mayor Budge was the chair of the Civil Service Commission. And he had mentioned that if they attempted something like this, and he said that when you start getting into the data, it becomes very unfair and really challenging to make sure that you're getting the correct cost. And I didn't understand what he meant until Carrie really started digging into the numbers. So, I mean, granted, the numbers are not completed to look at. However, I did think it was still really important to bring forth these kind of glaring issues that, again, I don't want to defeat the purpose and end up penalizing people. We really want to value, we want to appreciate, we want to show value, we want to encourage the morale. And I worry that this could potentially do the opposite.
So when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I think we thought it, but we didn't think it. You know what I mean? Like we saw part of the big picture, but not all of it. Do you know if there's other cities and towns that do something else other than the step plan to help with longevity or?
I would not get into that. I would really like to, that is something I can work on this for our work session, include it in that.
Okay.
I'd like to look at some of our cities that are comparable in size.
Okay.
And definitely bring that information to us. Again, this step plan seemed awesome. And when you hear step plan, it sounds really good. And it's not until you get that financial fine-tooth comb in there to really see that. So I would be more than happy to bring comparable cities, and then maybe even I'll pick, because we're close to Tucson, I can pick Tucson.
So,
Maybe it's not the smartest of questions, but it's just a thought. Comparing, I'm using the one that says UB and 4-year plan. After the 9 years, yeah, that's gonna be making more. But what if say if we started off, we'll say year 4, if they've been here for 4 years, what if they just automatically get moved up to on the year 4 of if they were a newbie to the 1639? And then follow up from there to where when they meet their 9 years, it's gonna be the 9 years of the newbie that would be making the same. Like when the newbie hits that 9 years, when he would hit that 9 years, they will both, when they both hit those 9 years, it's 1730. So starting them at 15 on the right side, just start them at the 1639 if they've been here for 4 years, and then continue that plan. So it's if you're just starting them off as if you came in new, but with his years. Does that make sense?
Just bumping the people like who have been here with their longevity up
Yeah.
to that level.
So that way it follows, everybody's following the same chart. So once that newbie hits year 4, he's gonna be in the same place where that year 4 already started. So
Right.
everybody's gonna be
Right,
going
right.
through the exact same thing.
If you can look and see if another city in town has done that, or if Carrie knows of anybody that's done that, or can do some. And I mean, that sounds like a great idea, but we need to dig into it, because you don't want to.
Like in the initial cost.
Right.
Yeah,
Cost of
initially,
bump
yeah,
all
because it's
the
gonna bump.
longevity.
That's what I thought, it was gonna bump everything, but will eliminate the unfair
Right.
I mean,
on the long run.
also, I mean, what would it be, I mean, years 1 through 3, you have the higher increases, what would it be like to encourage longevity, to like move the higher increases to the year 9 plus? You know, and then fill in and smaller percentage increases. That way, you know, if we do implement it for people who have already gotten that longevity, larger increases than people who are just starting out.
Allison, do you have anything?
I don't, I'm so sorry I missed part of what Joelle was saying, so I'm just listening and trying to figure out yeah, how would we address that inequality. But Joelle, do you think that it is necessary to look at a whole new plan, or can this plan be adjusted?
In my honest opinion, I haven't seen everything from Carrie.
I can't hear you.
And what I have seen and worked with Carrie, with what I have so far, the step plan, it's the instituting it in the middle that is really the challenge, because we can try different scenarios, and unfortunately, I think we are going to get these outliers, these oddball ones. That, I mean, something that it would help, but wouldn't be quite as dramatic a help as that plan that we looked at, was perhaps looking at the current longevity, and perhaps instead of starting at 2%, starting at 3%, and having 3% at 5 years, 4% at 10. And that way, at least we are still making the effort to, show the employees like we are really, we're wanting to help, we're wanting to do something and make changes. But something like that might be a better solution. And that's another concern I have, is that I know there has been talk of increasing the federal minimum wage to $50. And I can tell you that is a whole new barrel of money.
Yeah.
Because then we start dealing with compression increases, and the grade plan that we approved and we implemented fiscal year 21's budget, yes. We're gonna have to start from scratch on that too. And so that really does, it's challenging in the sense that now we have to look at compression raises, because now I have a new employee at $15 an hour, but 15 is what we have, an admin assistant who's been here 10, 20 years. That's my concern. So that's my one thought was perhaps we do something, you know, if we want to at least do something, put something forth for this next budget. Perhaps that is something that could be considered. And I can have Carrie look at that one too. That one will be a little bit less complicated for her to kind of extrapolate and get that data.
So what you're saying is move the 5 year to 3, the 10 year to 4, the 15 to 5, the 20 to 6, and the 25 to 7. Okay.
And then that's just.
Well, if you could have Carrie look at that, that may be what we can do right now, but maybe in the future, depending on what we see out there, we can do something else. Everybody's in agreement with that. Allison, are you in agreement with that?
Yes, I think so, Nina. I think that, I mean, this is what we discussed at the beginning of, or, you know, that these are specific individuals who already work for the city. We need to identify them and look at each one of them specifically, and make that equitable. New employees, once we set the overarching policy, the new employees will come in. But again, we do need to, you know, really figure out who these people are so that we can have, like Carrie did that scenario. I think we need to make sure nobody is overlooked.
Absolutely. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
I think what Joelle's proposing makes
Yeah,
really good sense.
this one, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we can, for the next time, maybe for the work session, if we can have that, if we can't get to it, that's fine, we can do it another time, but maybe for the work session. All right, we'll move on to item number 6, discussion of wellness funds from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Joelle?
Part of our agreement with continuing to have Blue Cross Blue Shield as our medical provider, we did receive the additional $10,000 in wellness funds, and that is looking at the green sheets in the folder. So last year, it caught up on us pretty quick with COVID, and we had plans for, I mean, like a Christmas dinner kind of thing. I mean, we had some really neat, summer pool party with like there were some really neat ideas that for the wellness last year. And again, COVID sort of interrupted everything. And we ended up doing $100 gift cards to all employees, and it was to Target. By June 30th. Target was selected because they had kind of across the board wellness, you know, mental health, wellness, you know, games for the kids because, you know, we're all at home with, staying at home. It had medicine if you needed it. And there's also food. And so it was just selected as a general use, you know, what would benefit someone the best at that time. So this year, we're not quite as under the gun, because I do know now that the process is rather, it goes pretty quickly as far as those submitting and getting reimbursement for those dollars. So I wanted to bring it back to the table and kind of our representatives here and discuss with your employees in your departments and see what their ideas are. I mean, people have great ideas. And see kind of where we are. Is there a bar that would be preferred? It's simple. Or do we want to do something along the lines of tablets or a Chromebook? I did price some Chromebooks because as of late, in assisting people with, you know, the Arizona Department of Health Services, the website to get on
the vaccine, I have found that there are some employees that unfortunately do not have those electronic resources at home. If they're not at work where they have a computer, they're not able to access online. They're not able to do things on their phone, or maybe they don't have a smartphone. So the thought with the tablets or the Chromebook is we are definitely moving towards more telemed. I don't think telemed is here. Telemed can also be a great resource. There's a lot of doctors and specialists that are telemed does bring a lot of those things closer. But maybe even seeing, if that would benefit some of our having the Chromebook, having the camera accessibility to do telemed, being able to have that tablet or Chromebook loaded with the Blue Cross Blue Shield website, the Delta Dental, the VSPs, so you can track your benefits. I can see how much of my deductible have I spent, knowing that I have a procedure. So that was my one idea, and that is why there is quotes for Chromebooks included in here. And so, yeah, so I would just like everyone to, get a feel what ideas are, and then again, if we're having a work session, we can, if it's acceptable, we can look at it then too.
Yes.
Joelle, can I say something?
Of course.
So I discussed this with our staff members, and we do have some questions, but also, I mean, the idea of getting tablets and Chromebooks into the hands of people who don't have access is paramount. Absolutely. One thing, though, that we look at the library, because we have a program, similar program to this, is do they have connectivity? Do they have internet? So that is a real issue if you have a Chromebook, but you don't have a hotspot or Wi-Fi. With tablets, you can buy the Wi-Fi contract to come with it, but those are yearly contracts. And so, are you putting a financial onus on the device? And then the other question is, these would be like given out personally to be personally owned, or be like a citywide fleet the same way that we do it at the library?
That's an interesting idea. Yeah. Would it be like a borrowing situation versus ownership?
Yeah, because so on a just on our small staff, personally, if people already have their own laptops that they use at home, a Chromebook is not something they can necessarily use. Would there be another option for people who already have their own devices? But on the greater scheme of things, to really address access to health, especially through telemedicine, I think this is a citywide issue, and maybe it's something we could look at. The library could catalog, if we bought 75 devices, catalog them and only check them out to employees, or figure out some kind of thing. But it is a big issue, so I really applaud you on this. But when we go to accessibility, we need to look at the connectivity as well as the equipment.
Thank you, Allison.
Does anybody else have any other thoughts?
Well, if we did something to where like, as a department, you're responsible for it, it's like a given thing, like just like my radio here. But usually, then we can get it wiped out and everything, and if we get an ability, they can use it as our previous employees. They'll be part of kind of like uniform allowance. They'll be like the department's responsibility responsibility, kind of make sure that gets turned in. We do have a pretty big turnaround rate for us, so if we did like give it as a gift, like pretty much some of you guys will only be here for about a month or two. So it's one of those things. And just like me, if I were to leave tomorrow, I have to turn in my radio, my keys, everything else.
And also when she said like if it's ownership or something borrowed, and if it's something you don't need, if there were other options, so I don't know how that would work, but I think that's a good thing. She brought up.
Yes, and also I should say that I definitely agree with those things, and that I'm not necessarily recommending a borrowing simply because we wrote a COVID grant out of the CARES Act, and I got 4 Chromebooks, just 4. And what we had to go through with getting them secure with IT, getting them able to be tracked, not just cataloged, but all this back end stuff. That's just for 4 devices, and I can't really imagine doing that for 75. But the other question is of course what you're bringing up is that if people already have their own devices, they're not checking it out, then do you have 75 devices, or 60 aren't being used or something? So I think it really is something to find out if people want it, and probably it'd be easier if they were personally owned, even though I love the idea of this bigger picture.
I can get out like a staff list for everybody and maybe put it like in an Excel format. So you can, when you talk to your coworkers, you can easily jot down what their thoughts were and whether or not they would use the Chromebook. And then we can actually get some hard numbers there. And if it's 12, heck, maybe that's something the city needs to look at doing, or something along those lines. So, or maybe we need to go to Blue Cross Blue Shield directly with something like that, separate from those wellness. So, what did I just say? Employee list.
Put on there for PTSD, all that different help that they can do. Not unless they are shy about expressing feel confident. But I'll get it.
Any other thoughts?
I mean, on the tracking and stuff like that, how do you track? All of us have iPhones. Like public works. Well, public works, like all those, like,
That's not phone?
yeah, they gave us a phone.
Wait. Oh, it's just a firefighter.
That there's to get more information on the tracking security, that sort of stuff. What do we call it? Yeah, because of HIPAA, I would be like, I don't want it back. I don't want.
Well, I know. I think if you're using some sort of wellness app, it's gotta have its own kind of like built-in security.
Yeah.
So once you sign out of it, and like once you're out of it, it's like you would have to log into it.
Okay.
They've got their own.
That's a good point. I'm a fan.
And Joelle, well, so this is exactly what we just went through. And so honestly, right now, if there are any employees who don't have a device that need a device for telemedicine, we have 4 and they're already set up. They're set up so that we do a factory reset. We wipe the computer when it's returned to check out to the new person. So right now, those 4 devices could, be easily available to employees immediately for checkout. Just
I
saying.
will follow up with you on that. I would like
Okay.
to let employees, like to let everyone know that that is available to them.
Yeah, we should talk to Jason, but it is a real thing, what you're talking about, we have to set them up with filters, we have to have remote access, we've put GPS tracking on them.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more thoughts?
Options. From parts like you did last year, or, and not just one thing. Yeah. That's a good idea, like get a number of Chromebooks. And a couple other options. I like that idea.
We'll have like a raffle.
Right. So going on to the next one, Joelle, do you have any comments for us?
I believe I said that I was going to send out the policy amendments that are listed 1 through 4. And I'm going to set up a meeting for the second week of March. I am going to discuss with Carrie bumping 1% on our current longevity policy. And I am going to get employee lists to our members for them to contact staff and get their opinions on the Blue Cross Blue Shield wellness funds.
Sounds like a lot. We're gonna keep you busy.
I love you, I know it.
All right, not for this next agenda for the work session, but is there anything that y'all want to discuss in the future that you think should be brought to our attention? Yes, ma'am.
Could Nina, could we maybe have like a department like a COVID update or vaccine update, or I don't feel we haven't really addressed this as employee council in the last year.
Yeah, but as employee council, that's really not in our scope of work.
Okay.
So I would say no. I'm sure if you had questions, either Teresa or Joelle would be able to help, or maybe there's something that could be put out. I don't know, but I know it's not the scope of the employee council.
That's fine. Yeah, it wasn't anything in particular, just
Yeah.
wanting to know how everybody's doing and what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then I have one other,
The second one, Dave.
one other suggestion is that we will be working towards open enrollment. And I'm just gonna put yours out, you know. Personally, I don't. I think input. I think, what is valued, what is important to you? What are we missing? Kind of things like that. I mean, granted, I can't promise the moon or deliver the moon even, but I would at least definitely like to make sure that employees feel like they have a voice, and that, obviously the benefits are for you. And, we have to find a middle ground always, and I know that, but I just would like to, if anyone has any comments, so maybe we could on the next agenda have, just kind of a discussion about benefits.
All right, so let's put that on the next regular session.
Okay.
But Joelle, I would like to say that since you have taken over, open enrollment seems to be doing very well, because before, I don't think very many people went or knew when it was or what to do. So I see that you make the effort. So I appreciate that. I mean, I don't do the benefits, but I see all the effort that you put in.
Thank you. And I love We might have to wait another year for that. Chili contest, I mean, we could really.
Does anybody else have any other items that they'd like to discuss in the next regular session? I will ask for adjournment. Somebody to make a
I
motion.
move to adjourn.
I second.
Joel, can you get the stop button? And we're adjourned at 10:51. Oh, actually, all ayes. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? We are adjourned.